Welcome to Friday Fish Facts. I'm your host, Ron DeSantis. Today is March 16th, 2020. I don't normally announce the date, but there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world right now, and I just wanted to come on anyway and break it up, and we're going to talk about fish for the next 30 to 60 minutes. So hope everyone enjoys that, and let's get into it. We're going to have Anthony on, Long Island Fish Guy. I'll bring him on in just one sec. I just thought, you know what, I was a little behind. Work was crazy busy, and I didn't get a chance to feed all the tanks as the last one. Just going to drop some bloodworms in. We'll get them spinning around, and then we'll bring Anthony in. What do you say, guys? Let's do that. I apologize for the reflection, but there, we'll get a little bit of action going on in the background there, and we could go ahead and bring Anthony in. Anthony, what's going on, my friend?
What's going on, Ron? Thanks for having me on.
Now, we have in the past had a few technical difficulties with sound. Sometimes it requires unplug, plug-in. So if we look over to the side here and just make sure if somebody says that the sound is bad, then we'll do something with that. The chat on my stream is a little bit delayed, so
okay.
I'll just look on the main one here, but it looks like it's okay.
Hey.
All good.
Cool.
Okay, we're here.
Yeah, man, we got some familiar faces in the chat here.
We do. We got some great people in the chat here. Andy, my Hectic Life Pets, what's going on? Alien World Aquatics was here earlier. Dragon Lair was here. Pepin Creek Aquatics. Matt is here. Sorry, Matt, I didn't throw out your last name there because I didn't want to butcher it. Timothy Stein is here. Sandy is here. Beautiful discus from Sandy. Okay, so Candy Overhauls is here. Rob93 is here. Deadfred821 is here. Why Not Wyoming is here. Vinosky Tanks is here. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this Monday edition. We are going to talk about rare and exotic fish today with Anthony. One thing first, Anthony, a lot of people, they have, I just want to throw out your Instagram page here, because a lot of like YouTubers, they have got big kind of YouTube pages and not so big Instagram pages. Your Instagram page is crazy. It's huge.
Yeah. Fun fact about me is actually I kind of started, like the way I started on social media and everything kind of didn't really start the normal way a fish tuber typically does it. Back in the day, I would say when Instagram probably just started off, I created some Instagram accounts that were kind of comedy pages. And like I was creating memes, stealing memes, doing things like that. Mm-hmm. And I had a channel that had like 30,000 followers on comedy, all comedy stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And then I created another one, a People of Planet Fitness page that rebranded, and I actually sold it for a decent amount of money. I actually bought a new lens with the money. So
cool.
If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see on the I have a wide angle lens now, which I'm pretty excited about. But so then I kind of pivoted and I started this fish channel because I had fish my entire life when I was younger. Me and my dad, we had a 29-gallon tank with a ton of fish in it, probably as much fish as my 125 have right now. I had Oscars and stuff. And that's kind of what started me back in the hobby. And I was like, you know what? I'm back in the hobby. I saw like Joey DIY and a couple of the bigger channels. And I was like, you know what? If these guys can do it, I can do it too. So that's kind of the attitude I have in life. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
We've got a few more people in here. Jesse HC Aqua. Hello, Jesse. Fishy Fun 57 and Danikin Aquatics. Welcome. Thanks for stopping in. So actually, that's kind of what I was going to get into. Like, before we kind of get into the whole, rare and exotic fish, a little bit about Anthony. So you started keeping fish with your dad with a 29-gallon?
Yep.
And so how many tanks you got going on? And before you get into that, why don't you explain that you're in two different locations right now? And
I know.
What's going on there?
You know, Ronnie, before we get into that, I will say this. I think I called you the Jimmy Kimmel of fish interviews, stuff like that.
I think like, Jimmy Fallon.
Jimmy Fallon. Yeah. I think that's what I called you, actually. Yeah. I feel like you're more like Howard Stern. I don't know if you're a Howard Stern guy, but Howard Stern's research guys, they know so much research, and I've listened to a lot of. I'm a big fan of yours personally, and the research is always so crazy. So yes, I am currently in 2 different locations. I got married in November. My big tanks, my 125, my 75, and a small little 5-gallon tank with a red-eye pufferfish, and my quarantine actually are at my parents' house. So what is that? 4 tanks. There's 4 running tanks there, and then in my apartment where I am right now, you're in my little kitchen area. If I turned around my laptop, there's something over there I'm gonna hide in a future video. But there's 3 tanks here. There's a 36-gallon bow front, a 29-gallon tank, and then in my bedroom there's a 15-gallon tank.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
King Lee from Twin City Guppy says, "Are guppies exotic?" And Candy has nailed that one. Yours are, King, and I agree with you.
Yeah,
they can be.
They definitely can. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not really a big guppy guy. I've never had success keeping guppies, but I was a member of the Nassau County Aquarium Society. It's basically a bunch of very old-time fish keepers go, and I was the youngest guy by maybe 30 years there. But a lot of those guys are a lot of the old-timers in the hobby. They're very big into guppies, and someone showed me there, and I do have a lot of exotic and rare fish. I had a stingray and stuff. Yeah. Someone had a pair of like German guppies. He like imported them from Germany. He spent like hundreds of dollars on getting them, and I was like, these look like typical guppies you get in like Petco or something. But I don't. In the guppy community, they were like very like prized possessions,
So recently, you did get 3 fish from Pleco Paradise.
Yeah.
Let's hear about what kind of fish you got.
Sure. So
they're all pretty exotic.
They are. I got, me personally, only one of those fish were mine.
One's Joe's, or 2 are Joe's?
2 of them are Joe's. So the one fish that I got was the lenticulata pike. I have had a pike before. It's a little bit more aggressive. It is. The lenticulata pike is probably one of the most aggressive pikes. Right. It's my 125 right now, and it's definitely trying to make its mark on that tank. And the other fish so Joe got one of those as well, and the behavior is a little different. His is like kind of hiding out and kind of marking its territory. It's kind of like a Jack Dempsey. They're cave dwellers. Yeah. They like to hang out in caves and mark that cave as their own, whereas mine is like taking over the entire aquarium. And then the other fish, which it's kind of a common monster fish, but it's gorgeous to say the least. It's the tiger shovel nose, which I don't know. I mean, for anyone who has ever seen one,
they're nice. I've seen them in person small, but I've never seen them big.
Oh my god! The biggest I've ever seen one is probably anywhere between like 18 to like 22 inches or so, I'd say. Yeah. And they look great that size, and they look great small.
Yeah. Why not? Wyoming's got a point here. Would love to get longfin neons and longfin white clouds. Longfin neons. Hey, that's a rare and exotic fish. Those would be cool. I've never seen them in person.
A store I actually work with a lot, Tropical Showcase in Hicksville. I've seen them once there, and they were pretty expensive for neons. I think they were like $5, $6 a pop.
So you've got had 2 mascots to your channel: George the Oscar, Steve the Stingray. Unfortunately, rest in peace, Steve the Stingray.
Yeah.
What's so great about stingrays, and what makes them so fun to keep? Would you get another one?
Yeah. I am such a getting a stingray is. I've had 2 dogs in my life too. Unfortunately, both actually passed away a year and a half of each other. Both of them were on my channel when I was much earlier on, when I was kind of just like a man behind a camera. Yeah. But the stingray, I remember when I first bought my stingray, I got him from someone at Brooklyn, breeder. I actually still talk to him to this day in a group chat, a WhatsApp group chat, where he breeds them regularly. His name is Kells, out of Brooklyn.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember when I was 50-50 on buying one because I was a little nervous about it, but it was a teacup type stingray. It stays small. Yeah. And I kind of just pulled the trigger on it. And I remember the look on my face when I got him, and I put him in my 75 count to kind of grow out a little bit. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, what did I do? It's so different. It's so different. like the fish are so. I didn't look at my fish as exotic anymore.
Yeah.
My most exotic fish I looked at as like secondary almost, because Steve the stingray was. You don't know. Going to an aquarium, a public aquarium, and seeing a stingray is very different from having one in your basement.
Yeah, I bet.
And I just seeing him swim up the glass the first time, it almost brought like it looked just so majestic, and that's kind of like I feel like why people on my channel loved Steve the Stingray so much. It was because, and also they're not legal everywhere. You know, you can't. I know, like Florida, for example. I don't mean to keep name dropping. I don't mean to keep trying to plug other things, but like predatory fins, for example. People in Florida can't own stingrays. So they might have them in inventory there, but they don't sell them to people locally unless you have a permit. Because if you let a stingray out in the wild there,
right, it's gonna live. Yeah,
it's a good breed.
Yeah,
good breed. But I love, honestly, if anyone, and first and foremost, if you're going to buy a stingray, I would definitely say make sure you can house it and keep it in the proper conditions.
Right.
So many. And talking about like tiger shovel nose and like red tail catfish, people buy them and put them in a 29-gallon tank, and it's like, oh, they'll only grow to the size of the tank.
Yeah.
We all know that's not true.
Yeah.
And just one other thing, I did try and fail with another stingray. I like to be honest on my channel. If something bad happens, I like to
for sure.
Yeah.
You do, yeah.
If for my sterlet sturgeon I bought, it died.
Yeah.
So I bought another stingray, and to be honest with you, I bought it in a pet store. I don't know exactly where it came from. It was a teacup stingray. They don't typically do as well as other types of stingrays. Like the actual, like the teacup, it's a Magnanella river. I'm butchering the first name of it, but it's one of the river stingrays.
Yeah.
Couldn't get it to eat, and only really would eat ghost shrimp, and it died. It probably. I tried everything in my power. I know a lot about stingrays. I couldn't keep it alive. So it's definitely a very big investment, and it's definitely very difficult to keep. So that's why you definitely have to know where you're getting them from, so you can ensure that it doesn't have parasites and things like that. I don't mean to keep rambling on.
No, it's cool. Zach, SC Fish Keeping, also saying R.I.P. Steve.
Yeah, what's up, Zach? How we doing, man?
What about arowanas? Would you get an arowana again? You've had arowana. You've got a little experience there.
So going back to the arowana, and I don't mean to keep going back, but the arowana and Steve's the stingray died together, kind of, that I got. And it's kind of, that arowana was a kind of a series of videos I put together.
Yeah.
I always quarantine my fish. I quarantine the arowana. I quarantine all my fish really, typically for 2 weeks or 2 to 4 weeks. I think that what really killed Steve the stingray is I think I maybe quickly quarantined something, put it in there kind of, and I think something like maybe internal bacterial, something like that happened, because I lost like two rainbow fish, Steve the stingray, an arowana, and one of my datnoids. Randomly, like this. Like I got married, and like a week later that happened. And
well, what were you doing your first week of marriage that you're so busy that you can look at your fish?
I don't know what you're talking about. What happened? All of a sudden, I was losing fish, and all the fish in there kind of looked bad. And what I did was I doused the tank with Paragard. Like I destroyed the tank in Seacam Paragard. And knock on wood, I don't think I've lost a single fish in there since then. So I think something was going on in the tank. I kind of couldn't tell it, but
yeah.
I'm just looking at. Sorry, my nose is running a little bit.
Okay.
I see someone here from. I don't mean to.
Dead Fred 821.
Yeah, I don't mean to pull host here.
No. Anytime there's a comment in there that you want to read, go ahead, man.
Yeah, I see local Long Islander here. Dead Fred. Petlands. All the Petlands actually just closed down on Long Island. I think that there's actually a Selmer's Petland, which I don't think there's any affiliation with them. But the Petlands, to be honest with you, I just think that they kind of didn't keep up with the times. They kind of got outshined by the big chain pet stores like Petco and PetSmart, and they couldn't keep up with the local stores like the mom and pop shops with the exotics and stuff. So I think like that's why they kind of failed. Also, like I don't mean to get into business or anything, but they had a lot in inventory. They sold off all of their inventory, and by like it was off like 90%. So I don't think their business model was right either. I think it kind of switched hands with the. I don't need to go too much into detail. Whatever.
There's 2 left here. So I'm in Vancouver, for those who don't know, up in the southwest corner of Canada, but you would say northwest part of the U.S. there. Hey, right on. And there's 2. One of them I used to sell to. Well, they would just give credit, but I used to like bring in angelfish and stuff. But they stopped doing that near the end of last year. They weren't taking from hobbyists anymore, and they really downsized half the store. They wiped out half the tanks, took them all out, and just put in like dry storage. So I don't know. Maybe they're focusing on other things other than fish more. I don't know. But
it's possible. It's awkward. Sometimes some people, like I know some stores on Long Island. There's a mom and pop store. Some of their store, actually 2 are actually coming to mind now. They don't keep fish. They only do like actual like dry foods and like, or they have like dogs and cats and other like rabbit stuff. So
right.
But yeah.
Well, we've talked about a few kind of the bigger types of fish that are like rare and exotic. But one of my favorite type of fish that you also keep are corydoras. And you have got some really nice corydoras. Actually, we both have the Adolfo cories. And then you've got some lasers as well. What kind of lasers have you got?
So I'm just pulling up, I literally made a list for this because I knew this was probably going to be a topic that we brought up. So we have, I actually don't have my lasers on this list. I kind of need to add that right now.
You do.
Yeah, I have. So here's the amount of the corydoras I have. I'm going to go through it. So there's actually also a Scurlomaxis barbatus. I'm not sure if you're kind of familiar with the barbatus ones. They were labeled the Corydora back in the day, but I think like the 90s they switched it. They're like a Scurlomaxis barbatus. They're probably the coolest looking Corydora you could probably see. Google it, whatever it. I'm telling you, anyone who's a Cory person listening, you're gonna love it. They're very expensive if you ever see them. I bought one of them. It was a full size one for $35.
Cool.
They're gorgeous though, I promise you. But they're actually cold water though, so they actually need to be in a little bit colder water. So we have. I'm just gonna go through this quickly. We have the barbatus, the Burvotrosis or the Wartroy. I have 6 Delphax, 4 Hasbrosis, 2 Julii, a Sodalis, Schwartzy, Matei, Paliniatus, Aeneas, lasers. I have
what kind of lasers? You have gold or orange?
They're gold lasers.
Yeah.
So I bought them actually from, and what's cool about them, and they're not in a tank right now to kind of breed, but my housing situation is going to change again pretty soon.
Right.
I'm going to keep that in the hush right now.
Yeah.
But when I have my own place, like my own house of my own, I'm going to probably set up like literally like a Corydora spotlight tank.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to probably do like maybe a 40-gallon breeder. With Corydoras, and then maybe do like some rainbows or something like that.
That'd be cool. Rainbows.
I didn't even say I have the Adolfo too. This list is so old.
Which is Jesse's favorite, which I knew that.
It's funny because I just read that. That's what made me think about it. But so it's pretty cool actually. I got the Adolfo. I bought like 5 or 6 of them. Oh, there's so many not on this. I also have a Rabuti.
Oh yeah.
By the way, when I say I have like a lot of the Rabuti. I also have so the Adolfo. I bought like 5 or 6 of them when they were very small. I'm not even exaggerating. They were probably about a ½ inch, maybe. They're probably about an inch and a half right now. And then I bought like a beefy one. I went up at the Barbatus when I bought that one big Barbatus. I bought also an Adolfo there too, and it was big. It was a big boy.
That's awesome.
So it's like the big mama, and then like a bunch of little smaller ones. So it's pretty cool.
I see Michael Trevino, Mile High Plecos is in the house here.
What's up?
We're gonna get him to throw out his most rare and exotic plecos. And actually, probably my most rare pleco I bought from him, which is the L182 Starlight Bristlenose. I gotta say I've got 12 different types of plecos, and that would be my rarest, I would say. Once he gets back on here, we'll get him to throw out his list. Larry D, what's going on? Hey, Larry.
I don't know. Dead Fred said, considering the info LAFG just shared, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know what he's referring to.
I think they were talking about a different kind of Petland. Or a different company, I think.
Gotcha. Yeah, Petland was like huge on like Long Island and stuff. I know because I go to like that fish club I used to go to.
Yeah.
They always used to talk about Petland. Like Petland, I feel like was like the golden like fish store back in the day. Like everyone went to Petland.
So what corydoras do you not have that you want? What's next on the list?
It's so funny because I feel like corydoras are not like I have so many of them because I love them. Because back when I had my dad and back when me and my dad had a tank together, it was we had a lot of like corydoras, like a lot of brokai. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that's why I have a lot of cories because it kind of brings me back.
Yeah.
Just to also when I got back into the fish keeping hobby, I inherited my current wife. She's my girlfriend at the time.
You inherited her?
No, I inherited her dad's fish tank. But I guess I did inherit her. I don't know why I'm playing around with a brush right now. But it was a 10-gallon tank, and I bought George the Oscar.
Yeah.
The Jack Dempsey, which I still currently have, which
in the 10-gallon. Yeah.
In a 10-gallon with one corydora. That was it. And then to be honest with you, I consider myself a intermediate to expert fish keeper, I'd say. Just to kind of go over that was like 4 years ago. Because when my dad was doing it, I wasn't really paying attention. My dad was keeping. I just like the fish that we had in there. I added those fish right away, and all of a sudden I go, "Why are they breathing heavy?" And I learned about the nitrogen cycle, and that's kind of how I feel like that's how everybody learns, you know. And by the way, that's George. That was George the Oscar when I bought him this big. George is not like that.
Yeah, he's big now.
Yeah. But the initial question, I always do this. Literally, I always do this. The initial question, if you watch any of my live streams, which I don't really do that often anymore, I need to get back into it. But people ask me questions, and I literally will go on for like 5 minutes. Corydoras I would definitely like to have.
While you're thinking, I'm just going to say hello to D down the wormhole. Nice to see you, D.
I don't know. I feel like I do feel like the laser cories were like my go-to. Like that's why
you can breed them too. They're not that difficult. Well, they're not easy, but they're not insanely difficult.
I was there. One of my I don't know if he's watching right now. A couple of like my I work with a couple of guys. I know one of them's in here right now. I saw him chat before. A couple of guys I work with. We have a Google Hangouts that we talk out on, and we call it the Fishmen. We're the Fishmen of our office, and it's a small company. And we talk all day in the chat basically, and the corydoras kind of all started with one of my friends, John Michael, who kind of got me back into the cories and getting more of the exotic because he's very big into corydoras. So I feel like the laser cory was probably honestly my oh my god, I need this fish. But he has a book that he has literally all exotic cories, and I'm talking like it's one of those books from like the 60s that's like all like black and white photos and stuff, and it has incredible cories in there, which is actually how I learned about the Scrillamaxis barbatus. That's how I kind of wanted that there, and it's so funny because I saw it in a fish store and I was like, I need it.
That's why not Wyoming longfin emerald cory. Beautiful cory. Their fins are actually like a orange. Not that easy to breed though, and if you can get them to spawn, they don't have a lot of eggs and they do turn to fungus on you. But if you can breed those, that's a more difficult cory to breed. Mr. Guppy saying, Friday Fish Facts, what part of Long Island is he from? I'm born in Nassau County.
Yeah, Nassau. I know some of the Long Island towns are kind of hard to pronounce because they're like Native Americans. Like there's I wish I could type it out. There's a town called Hauppauge. Everyone always butchers that. Massapequa, people butcher that. I'm from, I'll tell my town, Nassau County as well, from Plainview. I currently live in Suffolk County though.
Right on.
Yeah.
So let's get into plecos. Now that we've kind of had a little some time with the cories, let's talk a little bit about plecos. You have some rhino plecos, snowball pleco. What do you have for plecos?
So I have the same list I have for corydoras, and this is updated. Okay. Leopard cactus pleco. Which, by the way, I'm really bad with.
Do you know the L numbers?
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that. I'm not the greatest at L numbers, but I'm pretty sure this is an L14 or L44. There's two different types of leopard cactus plecos. This is like the cheaper one, but it was still like $100. I have a Magnum pleco, which is actually one of my most recent videos.
L47, I think.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. That is probably, honestly, one of my favorite plecos. I've always wanted one. I had one in the past. It got heater burned and died because it was hiding right underneath the heater. That's why I feel like in the fish hobby, and everyone in the comments will probably agree with this, like with the fish, you make mistakes in the fish keeping hobby, you learn from it, and you move on, and that's what kind of makes you a better fish keeper.
For sure.
I have a Galaxy pleco.
Yeah.
Vampire pleco. They're two different types of plecos.
There's like three different ones. There's like three different ones that are called Galaxy.
Yeah. The Galaxy one, so the vampire is a vampire. It actually has like the extra on the mouth, kind of comes down. The vampire, the Galaxy doesn't have that, which I know that's what kind of differentiates it. The Queen Arabesque one I have.
Yeah, L260.
Yep. The Green Phantom.
L200.
I have two Super Red Ancistrus.
Yeah.
I have
male and a female.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I think they're brother and sister, though. I had them. I am Ron.
They'll still breed.
I'm not, I don't know, Game of Thrones fans are like Lannisters or Targaryens. I am not kidding. I'm trying to like get something for like a point of reference here. Like picture like your pinky. Like look at your pinky nail.
Yeah.
I got my Super Red Ancistrus probably when they were about that big. They were super, because I got them from a fish club, and they breed them like crazy there, and they just bring them. So I got them there, and they're probably like that big now. Like they're getting big. So here's something. I know you're a pleco guy as well. I purchased a blue Phantom pleco that was probably about that big.
L128.
He's now like that big, and he's turning green.
Well, there is, the shade of blue that they're in depends on where they come from in the river.
Yep.
And kind of the blue ones are in the northern part, and then the green ones are in the southern part, and as they mix, some people think that it's actually the same fish.
Is
it? It's not proven either way. Some people think it is, and it may one day end up being the same L number, but for right now, they're different.
You know why I think that it probably is the same fish? It's because my fish is turning green.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. The two other species I have is a king tiger pleco.
The L66 or the L333? Don't know.
36. 36.
The 66?
No, the 30.
333. There's 333. Is it yellow and black, or is it white and black?
White and black.
Okay, so it could be either one.
Either way. That's why I'm so bad with the L numbers. I don't know. And then I have two rhino plecos.
I geek out about them.
Yeah. But I've also had a lot of other plecos that have gone. On one of my old videos I covered, one of my tanks got Calamanus. It's like literally one of the worst internal parasites you can get for your fish.
I've had it once.
Wiped out everything.
Yeah.
It wiped out my entire tank. And I think looking back, I think it was because of like a secondary bacterial infection that the insides got. But I honestly euthanized a lot of the fish in there. And I had Pellegrini fry in there that I got from the fish club. I had probably like 20 fry in there. It was actually very sad. There's two times I've gotten very like emotional about fish, and I'm an animal lover. I love animals. So, euthanizing a fish is like I know people. It's like Petco and PetSmart. Like you go there and like there's such like animal abuse in some of those stores where people aren't really like keeping the fish properly, and it's like people don't. If that was a dog, place, PETA would be knocking down the doors like left and right, but because it's fish, like people are like, it's a stupid fish. Who cares?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
That's why I'm like, two things. It's like when I had to euthanize all those fish because of Calamanus, and then Steve the Stingray going, that kind of really hurt. But
Fishy Fun 57 here is saying, I want the Venezuela Coria and the L260 pleco. So right over to my left is my group of 5 L260 plecos.
What are those?
They're the Queen Arabesque.
Oh,
Yeah. So when I got my group of 5 from a breeder, I was told about 6 months. They're about 6 months away from breeding. So we'll see. We've got the proper setup for attempting pleco breeding that aren't bristlenose, which is the heavy. I've got it's a 20-gallon long, but I've got an AquaClear 70 pumping water through there. I've got an extra sponge filter, and I just have a few Pracox rainbows at the top as ditherfish in there. And then you also like the L397. That's like the red tiger. That's a beautiful pleco, which one day I do have. I mean, with everything going on right now, I'm not going out and spending money on fish tank setups and fish and stuff like that. But if I was going to get 3 more sets of plecos, I would get L46. I know that is a pricey one. That's the zebra pleco. Got a little group of them. The leopard frog, the L134, and the L397. Those would be my three more groups that I get that I really want. And I want to grow my group of L182 starlights from my plecos there. So
those are dope. You know what's so funny? I've actually never seen this specific tiger pleco before. I've seen like the smaller L number. I think it's like a what's like it's like I think an L6.
Okay.
Or something. I think that tiger pleco. I actually had that pleco before. This one I've never seen, but the one you just mentioned before, I completely agree with you. I forgot. I'm already slipping my mind.
The starlight one or the zebra?
The zebra pleco. Obviously, those guys are.
Yeah, they're nice.
It's so expensive. Though.
Oh yeah.
It's so funny you said this though about with everything going on and stuff. You don't want to go out. I just got a tip from one of my friends that's actually in my WhatsApp group locally here. That one of the fish stores out east that I regularly visit, if you watch my channel, they got Balzini Geophagus. Mm-hmm. I went there, bought a male and a female. My friend just bought them maybe 5 days ago or so. They already bred. They already spawned, and the female's holding fry in her, well, not fry, but probably eggs in her mouth right now. That's insane. Like, these guys are crazy. Like, that's why Geophagus are so easy to breed. And then also, I got a tip. I know I didn't really answer your corridora question because I feel like I got the fish I wanted. Yeah. But the Pimelodus ornatus, it is a type of, like if you know, Pictus catfish or like the 4-line catfish, it's in that family. It's a much rarer one. A Pimelodus ornatus.
Pictus cat's pretty common. Pretty common.
But the ornatus isn't. And they had like 4 or 5 little babies of them, and I got 2 of them. Literally, I just told my wife before, I was like, "This is literally my bucket list fish," and I have 2 of them now. And I'm telling you, they're incredible. They're so sick. If anyone wants, go Google Pimelodus ornatus. I know I'm probably overhyping it, like it's like a platinum gar, but it's such a beautiful fish. And when they get older, they're incredible. They're super active too.
Mr. Guppy, thank you very much for the comment. That's very nice of you. What pleco? What's the last pleco? What's on your wish list? What's the next one you're gonna buy? So,
I've had a sunshine pleco before.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But I got it from a sketchy place. It died in quarantine. It was very pricey too, so it was kind of big. It died in quarantine, and I kind of impulsively bought it, and it wasn't really right. I've been seeing them here and there, smaller on Long Island. Yeah. I kind of have a connect now that I can kind of get some fish, anything really I want. Yeah. So I'm definitely gonna keep my eye out for the sunshine pleco. That's definitely my next like.
Oh. They're within reason when they're small. When they're big, they're like $300. But if you get them small, they're under 100.
The one I got was probably about 8 inches, maybe like 10 inches or so.
So it's over $100, right?
I bought them for $120.
Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah.
I mean, for a fish, it's a lot.
It's a lot, but plecos, they get up there.
Those fancy plecos are so expensive.
Mr. Guppy's. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to read Mr. Guppy's question. What is Long Island fish guy's worst mistake he's made with fish that he learned from?
I think that there's no specific thing that kind of comes to mind, but don't be impulsive. I think that like it's a big mistake that people do. It's like I do this all the time. Like I'm literally a fish store addict. Like I can't stay at like if I haven't gone to a fish store, even if it's like a smaller, not so like exotic. If I'm driving past it, I'm like, I just got to get in there. I got to go see what they have. Maybe they have something. And sometimes I do that, and I don't really do it that often anymore. But sometimes I'll do that, and I'll buy a fish, and like 2 or 3 days later, I'll be like, I shouldn't have done that. You know, it's like the impulsive fish buying. I feel like it's like my mistake, and I feel like I did it a lot back in the day. Maybe like
I think everyone does that at the beginning.
I do it too now. I didn't go into I went to the fish store to get those balzinis, and I walked out with my bucket list fish.
It's hard. I mean, I try to buy fish now with a rifle, not a shotgun. But that's just because I only have so many tanks, and I know what I want to get.
Yeah, I know.
Your channel is Long Island Fish Guy, in case somebody is wondering there. And I saw Terry Lindsay in there as well. Hello, Terry. Young Fish Aquatics, hello. Poseidon's Pets, hello. The Zen Ginger, hello. The wolf fish that you have, that's in your apartment, right?
Oh, yeah.
And he bites, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So what are some precautions you want to take with that guy?
Sure. So he is a red wolffish, also known as a hyphen wolffish, also known as a rainbow wolffish. They go by so many different names. They're probably the friendliest, quote unquote, wolffish that you can get.
Yeah.
They're community-esque. To be honest with you, I have my green phantom pleco. I wanted to test it out, him with tank mates, and he's with a green phantom pleco right now, and they've been together for probably 2 months, maybe. No issues. To be honest with you, I think that he's actually a little bit afraid of the green phantom. But the teeth on this guy is like this. And someone I know from one of the fish stores I go to, he's worked in a fish store his entire life. He's the owner of this place. He said he's been bitten by wolffish of all different species, and literally he had to get stitches once because a black wolffish bit him once.
Really?
Yeah, wolffish are very, dangerous. So anytime I do any sort of tank maintenance, I always make sure like I kind of keep my distance, and I always keep my eye on him. Because I looked at him like I treat him like my stingray when I used to have him, where you really need to watch out, because if that barb, a little story here, the guy I actually bought my stingray from, he breeds them. No offense to Steve the Stingray, may he rest in peace. He's kept much more expensive stingrays. He's had albino pearl stingrays. Those typically go for like $1,500 to $2,000. Black diamonds, everything. Like he's had the top of the line fish. He's kind of corralling in a bunch of baby stingrays. Babies. These guys are like maybe 5 inches into a kind of like a laundry. He keeps them like laundry tote things. He was bringing them in there, and one of them came up and hit his finger on the thumb, and he got like dizzy all of a sudden, and he passed out, and he actually had to go to the hospital, and he got an IV and everything, and just had to pass through a system.
Really?
Like stingrays aren't poisonous; they're venomous, so they're venomous barb. But yeah, and imagine that was a bigger, full-grown stingray. That could have been pretty dangerous.
Spotted Congo puffers. How difficult are they to keep, and what do you feed them?
See what I mean? You're like,
it's borderline stalker, I think, maybe. Sometimes.
Dude, you're no longer Jimmy Fallon. You're Howard Stern, man. The research is crazy. This Gouda Denny puffer. I actually have 2 puffers actually. The one I have is the 5-gallon. It's a red-eye puffer fish. He is she actually. It's female. Great fish. She eats krill. She eats bloodworms, and just recently, because she's at my parents' house, so sometimes I like test out new foods. Yeah. She might go a few days without eating flake food. She actually eats flakes. That is unheard of for freshwater pufferfish. And by the way, both of these puffers are completely freshwater. I don't add a lick of salt in them. Occasionally I'll add salt, but not really.
So you'd say not too difficult to kind of a hardier?
So that red-eye puffer, absolutely. But granted, I've also had that red-eye puffer for about a year. Now, the Gouda Denny, the spotted Congo, that he's a little bit more finicky. He only really eats bloodworms. I offer krill sometimes. He doesn't really eat krill. I offer scallops, like frozen scallops. He doesn't really eat them. I think it's more so when you have the freshwater puffers, you kind of have to expose them to it, and then as they get exposed to it, they'll kind of come around to them. He's also, I'm gonna be moving around some of the fish in my tanks, where that spotted Congo's got high competition right now for food. It's with some Kelberry peacock bass, 3 of them.
Yeah.
Also in there with a spotted gar. It's a smaller spotted gar. He's gonna be going to my 75 gallon soon. And so there's a little bit of competition for food. When I actually kind of want to get to where I want to do with my tanks, it won't have to compete as much. But trust me, when he eats, his stomach is fat as hell, so he's definitely not starving.
Speaking of that, you keep your bichers with fish. Do you have to like make extra care to make sure they're getting food as well?
Not really. I have 2 bichers in there. One is a Polypterus indicilleri, very aggressive eater. Well, he knows. Yeah. I kind of feed the same food at like a time. So I probably do it to a fault. I literally feed like 4 to 7 to 8 different types of food at once, but little amounts, not a lot, just because there is a lot of different types of fish in there. So I'll go floating pellets, 2 different types of bug bites. Mm-hmm. Then I'll go sinking pellets, maybe little pieces of krill. Then I'll go like the bloodworms. It's overkill. I know I go overkill, but I love it, so why not? But no, the indicilleri, he eats pretty quickly. He likes the floating sinking pellets and then the scallops. And the other one I have is very rare. It's very, very rare actually. It's a Polypterus palmis buttercofi. It's the buttercofi, which makes it so rare. If you see this in a fish store, typically it'll be like maybe $50 at like that size. So it's definitely not common. And if you watched on the video, I actually did that as a trade with someone. Again, someone from my WhatsApp group. I traded a true parrot cichlid. I have 3 of them, so I have 2 of them now. I traded that true parrot cichlid for that buttercofi palmis. It's very cool.
Kevin KG Cichlid says throw a whole chicken in there. Yeah.
I guarantee you, if I put a piece of chicken in some of my tanks, they probably would eat it. Like I actually think I've done that before with my Oscar. I think I used to feed them. I used to feed my Oscar pieces of cold cuts, and that is when Georgie Oscar put on the most amount of size. He got bulk, like he got beefy, like he was like a middle linebacker. He got awesome. So big. Yeah, I don't do that anymore.
Mel, I appreciate that. Tank looking good behind me. Unfortunately, there is a glare on there. Mel's in our Vancouver Aquatic Hobbyist Society with me, which actually our auction has been postponed, which is unfortunate. It was going to be my first time being the auctioneer too, so I was looking forward to that, but hopefully I'll be at the next one. Fishy Biz, what's cracking? What's going on? Thanks for coming in, man. Good to see you. Terry Lindsay, thank you very much for the support as well. And Terry had a question about how many tanks you have. Terry, if you were here at the beginning, you would know that Anthony already answered that question, so check that out on the replay. Kendall, Otter Creek Aquatics, what's going on? Mike, the Fish Tank Barn, tip jar $5. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Teresa, I think I missed the hello because I saw you earlier. So, hello, Teresa. Thanks for stopping in. The moray freshwater eel. I saw recently for the first time ever in person. You have one. What's the like to have?
Where did you see it? I'm kind of like in a what type of store was it?
It's okay. So my next video is this store where I have never seen so many exotic fish. So I'm gonna wait for this Friday's video for that to come out, and it's in there. But it was my first time seeing it. So
the question is, did you get it?
I did not, because it wasn't on my list. I buy fish.
And impulsive.
and with me, like my hobby has to sustain itself. So I mean, besides this tank behind me, like I sell some moss and like jungle val out of here, but I don't breed the fish in here for sale. Like I've got some petricolas fry in here, but not much. So I have to like pick, okay, these exotic guppies, these plecos, these corydoras, these shrimp.
Yeah.
And then, so like if I buy an eel, it's just a showpiece. So not that I wouldn't buy it, I just have to have enough that, that I can go ahead. It's just something I want to do. I want to have a self-sustaining hobby. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
I hear you on that. Absolutely. And to be honest with you, like I kind of am the same way now, kind of like in the same way where, I know the kind of YouTube, ad revenue. Granted, it's whatever, but
it's better than nothing.
Of course, definitely, and it's you kind of want to keep it that way and stuff. But at the end of the day, I'm such a impulsive. My friend Joe, who you see in a lot of my videos, he always says,
"Let's not talk about Joe yet, because he's another question."
Oh boy! Well, one of his go-to sayings is, if I see something I want, I have to have it. So it's fun. So you asked about the moray eel. So I actually was going to Manhattan. Me and my wife, we were actually we were off from work, and we were going to drive into the city, and we were kind of like doing like a bunch of different sightseeing, not really sightseeing, but
right.
I was like, we're going to drive into the city. So we drove to Monster Aquarium in Queens first, which everybody nationwide kind of knows about Monster Aquarium. It's probably the most exotic fish store you can go to. You can't shoot video inside there; they don't let you.
Yeah, so you told me, or you didn't tell me. I've seen a few. I feel like you told me, but I've seen some of your videos where you mentioned that. Yeah,
they don't let you take video in there. So I kind of went there and not really anticipating buying any sort of fish, and then I saw the freshwater moray eel, and Joe has had them before with no success. Like they don't last on him. They either die within a week, or kind of like what KG Cichlids just said, they end up on the floor. And I'm going to answer that question for you. Behaviorally, so I bought it there, and to be honest with you, it was a great deal. It was only $50, and that's actually really cheap for them, like dirt cheap. Typically in Monster Aquarium,
the one I saw was $200.
Yeah, typically in Monster Aquarium, which Monster Aquarium is pretty cheap, they were $125. I bought mine for $50. I probably wouldn't have bought it if it was $200. I probably wouldn't have bought it if it was $125. But for $50, I was like, this is a dumb good deal. Behaviorally, just to answer your question, mine specifically, there's a piece of driftwood in there that it kind of overtook. And by the way, I'm going to come out with a care guide video for this shortly. I'm working from home and stuff, so I definitely have a lot more time here. There's two care guides that kind of want to make the wolffish and also the moray eel. But the moray eel typically has a reputation of being very finicky eater. The guy at the store told me and Joe separately that they sometimes can take a month to even eat frozen foods. Mine only ate bloodworms for, I'd say, about a week, and he started eating like right away, and then he started eating brine shrimp. Now, I feed fluval bug bites. I feed him like I forgot what they're called, but they're like the micro bites. He eats those like crazy. Like dried foods, and he's such an aggressive eater. Like he's not like I thought you have to target feed them. I had the tongs, putting bloodworms in front of his face. It did nothing but scare him. Now he just comes out, and he's such an aggressive eater. Like he's with corydoras and stuff right now, and he gets aggressive with them. Like he'll, like nip at them and stuff. But other than that, he hides all day. And I know it sounds funny to kind of answer his question. Because he said you have to keep a tight lid. I was the stingray guy, I feel like, for a little bit. Now I feel like I kind of want to transition to kind of being like the exotic fish guy. And in doing so...
Same category.
Yeah, definitely. So you mentioned... This is going to make sense. Red wolffish, like my red wolffish I have right now. This is actually the fourth one I've had. The first one I had some sort of mouth fungus. It died. Another one I had jumped out of the tank, and I found it dried up on the floor. It died. Another one I got jumped on the floor, tried to save it, and it died. So this is the fourth one I've had. The common denominator in this, the first one really wasn't my fault. I think I got it sick. Common denominator is that they jump. Right. And ever since then, I learned that you could put, I put a massive bottle of like Seacam Paraguard on it. It was full, and it still hopped out. So another YouTuber, I'm not going to mention his name. I don't know if he's watching anymore, but I saw him in here before. He had a red wolffish. It jumped out through like a hole, I'm not kidding, that big from his tank. and they're escape artists. So what I started doing was, it sounds so funny to say this, and people laugh at me all the time, but I don't care because it works for me. I use Gorilla duct tape, and I duct tape when I know that I have a fish that can jump. I duct tape the back of the tank. You know, like you have the glass backs, the glass taps, and then you have the plastic pieces.
Yeah.
I'll duct tape that down, and on my lids, I'll duct tape the lid. And before I actually pick it up, I'll undo the duct tape and pick it up. Knock on wood, I haven't lost a fish to jumping since I've started doing that. So the moray eel at night, I sometimes see him. They typically like to be nocturnal. I sometimes see him like at the top. Maybe he's looking to jump. I don't know, but he hasn't jumped for me. And I hope that he doesn't.
So let's talk. Who's Joe, and how did you meet him?
Joe is a coworker of mine. He's one of the fishmen in our work chat. Joe's a very quiet guy. If you don't know him, he's very shy. But once you get to know him, he's very funny. If you watch, he likes to, a little bit of satire, I guess, kind of make fun of my YouTube channel a little bit with the fish on and everything. But Joe is, I think, a good personality almost on my channel.
He's not in the chat, is he?
I didn't. And if he was in the chat, he's not going to say anything. He could be on his burner account right now. But I will say this: Joe has exotic fish that I can't speak about in this live stream, legally speaking. But he's got some thousands of dollar fish in his aquariums. He's got some great stuff, really great stuff, and it's definitely a friendship that started through fish. Joe had a 29-gallon with one Raphael catfish. He knew me as the Long Island fish guy, YouTube and all this stuff, and then I kind of was like, "Hey, come to a fish store with me." And then he started getting African cichlids. He started getting exotics. He has incredible. I honestly need to go to Joe's house and do another video of his tanks because he definitely has a lot of exotics.
What's the rarest fish you've ever had?
Let me look at my list. The rarest fish I've ever had. Maybe the moray eel, I would say. It's so hard to answer like the rare question. It's because it's like someone on Instagram just tried to like troll me because on my thumbnail it said fancy pleco, like exotic pleco, and someone commented from Norway.
There is no rare plecos?
No. I think he was actually from the Netherlands. He was Dutch. He's like, "Isn't that just an L47?" I was like, "Quote unquote, just?" Like he's like, "Those are in every fish store where I'm from." So it's like it's so hard to say what's rare and what's not. But in my eyes, like my fish, I'm like, "Oh my god." Maybe my Pimelodus ornatus. Maybe it's my spotted Congo. Maybe it's one of my plecos. Maybe it's a stingray. It's like I feel like there's so many different exotics. I will say this: my new fish that I definitely want to get is also. I just realized I didn't answer one of your questions before about the arowana. I definitely want to get a black arowana. A black arowana is definitely one that I kind of want to check off my bucket list. On like kind of the next fish.
My friend had one of those when we were kids.
Yeah, they're
cool.
They look like silvers. I understand why people kind of hate on the black arowanas. They're like silvers but triple the price. But there's so much like when they're young and small, they're so beautiful. It's like also, what do you want, black or silver? It's like the black arowana. It's like scary sounding. I don't know. I guess my rarest fish right now, I'd say, is either my red wolffish or probably the spotted Congo puffer.
Well, one last question.
Okay.
What is your bucket list fish?
Right now, it's if I had to get if someone said to me, and it's not the most expensive. I mean, it's actually very expensive. I shouldn't say that. A Zebrina pike. That is a Zebrina crinchinella, something like that. The Zebrina pike, they're beautiful pike.
That would go in the 125?
For long-term plans, no.
So you're going to upgrade? Because you have rehomed fish in the past when they outgrow your 125. Are you going to... Get something bigger?
Yes.
Maybe a 220?
Yes. That's actually exactly what I'm looking for. Joe actually just got a 265. And I'm not kidding, it's actually almost a blessing I saw that, because I was like, this is a big tank. Like, how long does like water changes take on that tank?
An hour.
And but just for that one tank?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I use a Python for all my tanks, except for 2 20 gallons that are up. I have 12 tanks. So I have 2 20 gallons, one in each of the kids' rooms upstairs. So, and they're like far in the corner of the house. So the time it takes me to bucket those 2 tanks, this one drains half. And
Wow.
I just watch a show and refill it. So it takes me 3 hours to do 12 tanks.
And how often do you typically do it?
Well, this tank behind me, I do it every 2 weeks. So twice a month.
Gotcha.
So I have a few tanks that require a weekly water change, but it depends on what I have in them. Like if I have sensitive plecos and a lot in a tank, or cories, or I'm growing up, like I've got 3 tanks filled with like super red and calico bristlenose fry growing out. So I gotta do more water changes on those, because I have like 35 plecos in a 29 gallon.
Let's like role reversal here. Let's like the guest becomes the host.
Okay.
How many tanks do you have?
I have just 12. 12
Just
tanks.
oh, that's
Yeah.
I thought maybe
I mean, for a regular person,
Yeah,
that's
50.
a lot of tanks. But for like a fish tuber, that's not that many.
Let me ask you this question, Ron.
Yeah.
How often do people ask you how many tanks do you have?
Well, people that are not fish people, like a lot of people that are in this chat or watching this video, I'm sure when they have people coming over their house are like, but that's another reason why I try to make the tanks look nice, and otherwise my wife wouldn't let me have so many.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that can't just be tossed together. And I do have like some breeding tanks, so it's like Java moss with fry all over the place, kind of, right? But I do have plans to expand that this year. That number
That's great.
to go up at least to 14 or 15. So
Yeah,
but we'll see.
I feel like there's so many. It's like so many people like one-upping each other on like the fish tube of like their fish rooms. It's like I've seen people. We all know Joey DIY is like doing a whole big remodel right now. But even like some of the other like smaller type YouTubers are building like these like fish store quality fish rooms, and like in looking to buy a house, it's like I'm saying to myself like I can't compete with that. But I just saw someone else comment down here, Poseidon's Pets, saying that he only has
330 subs.
No, he says he only has 7 tanks, but honestly, there's some fish. I know we kind of have. I feel like there's a sense of community in regards to like some of our subscribers. Yeah. But there's also like people who are like completely on their own making channels, and some of those guys I follow and I see what they're doing. They might have like 2 or 3 nano tanks, and they make it work. So the Poseidon's Pets, like the quality or quantity of your tanks doesn't equal your number of subscribers or even your knowledge base. I'm not throwing flame at anybody, but like there's some people who I follow on as a viewer who aren't the most entertaining fish tubers, but they're very knowledgeable. They're not entertaining whatsoever, but it's like watching the Discovery Channel almost. It's like, whereas I like to make my videos, maybe I'm not as knowledgeable as some of Rachel O'Leary. She probably knows more than I know. You know more about L number plecos than I know. But I try to I just recently did a pretty big investment in my channel. I have a new wide angle lens camera. I just upgraded my software to Final Cut Pro. I have some higher end edits now in some of my videos. So like that's the type of stuff like I kind of want to bring to the table in regards to like YouTube and stuff. I kind of like recreating like how like I feel like I don't mean to keep rambling on here, but like I feel like the fish tube is a little bit like lagging behind the rest of the YouTube community. And I kind of want to like stay ahead of that curve and like the edits and stuff and like really kind of like entertaining, like a Mark Rober almost. You know Mark Rober?
Mark Rober? I don't think so.
Mark Rober is, I'm not plugging his channel here. He's got like 13 million subscribers, maybe more than that. I don't even know. But it's just like a science channel, and his goal on his channel is to entertain and also educate. And I feel like that's kind of like where I want to go with my channel. is like I feel like I have a lot of knowledge about like my fish specifically that I have, but I also want to like entertain you. Like, so how many people, Ron, say to you like, fish tanks are so boring. I have 2 dogs and they're the best. You know, they're my band's best friend. You can't cuddle up on the couch with your fish, and it's like I know.
Well, I mean, people. I mean, I also have 2 dogs, so people know I'm a dog person. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know we're up on time, but I feel like that's why they call it a fish hobby. You know, and when you have like one, like my red wolffish is a wet pet,
Right.
and it's a wet pet because I like to keep him kind of by himself, and you know, this is otherwise called a hobby because it's kind of like collecting stamps or you're doing stuff like that. You're kind of collecting fish, and you go out and I don't know, you're like trying to get new fish and stuff.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. I saw a few people come in, but we're just heading out. Pam and Priscilla, thanks for stopping in here, kind of right at the tail end here. But Anthony, thanks for coming on, man. And
dude,
talking. You've got a lot of cool. If you guys haven't checked out his channel, I hope now that you've come on, check out his channel. If you like rare and exotic fish, you will like his channel.
Thank you, Ron. Appreciate it.
If you like humor as well, too.
Yeah, man. Listen, I've definitely been wanting to do this for a while. Like I said to you before, you know, I've always been a fan of your channel and your format here. I think you're doing some really cool, great things here, and I don't think other people do this, but no one does it like you. So
thanks, man.
So everyone watching this, keep watching Ron. He's doing good stuff.
We got a video coming up this Friday, so join me this Friday for another edition Friday Fish Facts.
Peace out, everybody. Thanks for watching.